I have to be honest, this is my third video I have tried recording tonight, and the first two didn't work. I literally got 12 minutes into the second one, and I was like, no, this is terrible. So I don't have a script right now. I should, but I just kind of want to chat, so let's try that. By the way, I'm using a lapel mic now that I just recently got, and I think it sounds a heck of a lot better than if I just use my camera sounds, so we're hoping that this is good. Let's see, it's recording. It's recording. Okay, we're good. We're gonna try this. I have my hair back so it doesn't compromise the sound, because the sound is all that matters. Also, I have 3 lights on because the video is all that matters. Okay, so what do I want to talk about? Well, okay, this is something that's been on my mind lately, and it's something that I have not found an answer to. It's something that I want an answer to, but I'm not sure it's that simple. So allow me to explain. I was listening to a sermon the other day, and yes, it was from Greg. When I say that 99% of the time, when I say I was listening to a sermon, it's from Greg Gilbert. I acknowledge it. I have an obsession, okay? I absolutely love his sermons. And he was saying that it's very possible to admire Jesus and love what he does and love what he did and completely miss him, and not love him. And that has stayed with me, and it has really, I'm not sure if been bothering me is the right word, but it's something that I keep thinking about, and I keep wondering, do I love Jesus, the man, or do I love what he did? Do I love who I think he was and is? And same with God. Do I love God, or do I love the safety I have because of them, of God and Jesus? Or do I only love what he's done, how he answers prayers? Do I love the comfort I have in being a Christian, or do I love God, the man? Forgive me for saying it that way, but saying the being kind of, I can't wrap my head around a being, and so I have to kind of, I don't know how to say this, I have to think about God as someone, not something. Forgive me if that's not entirely biblical, but you gotta do what you gotta do, because I can't love a being in the sky as it's kind of easy to think of God. I don't want to love a being in the sky. I want to know, and I want to love God, Yahweh. I want to love him. I want to love Jesus. And I don't know if I do. I have an obsession with first century. I love it. I mean, you show me a picture of a first century home in Israel and I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful. Can I please build a house that looks exactly like that and live in it, please? I have an obsession with first century anything. The clothes, I love the clothes. I love everything. And so I have an audio show called Witnesses, you may know that. And it centers around the people who knew Jesus, and there's only been 2 episodes so far. The 3rd one is coming out hopefully by the end of the year. I'm very excited about that. But again, in writing the script for that episode and working on it, I was thinking about, first century everything, and what did Jesus mean by that, and what did that person think, and what was the crowd thinking, and how did they react, and what was the motivation, and why did Jesus do that instead of this, and stuff like that. And there's so many facts that I could tell you about Jesus, so many things that I know and that I love about him. But do I love him? And maybe that's a really strange question to ask, because I think sort of the common belief is we all think we know God and we all say we love him, but do I have an affection in my heart that is for, again, the person of Jesus, the person of God, or do I have a love for everything that I know about him, about them? Honestly, I don't know that I love them as father and son, but I don't know. And it's a strange thing to ask. It's a strange question to put in front of yourself and say, do you love Jesus? Because your immediate instinct is, yes, of course I do. I've been a Christian for blah, blah, blah. I've read the Bible how many times? I know this. I can quote this to you. that doesn't equal love. And I am someone who would easily say I love Jesus almost more than I would say I love God, because I feel like I know Jesus more because of all the research I've done for my audio shows and various things that I do. And the fact that I just adore that time and the stories of Jesus. And I mean, I will watch hours of anything involving Jesus. I love it and I love him. But do I love the real him, or do I love the man that I've created him to be in my mind almost? Like how do you love someone that you can't talk to directly and get answers from? Like, if I were to say I love a celebrity, you kind of roll your eyes because you don't really know them. You only know what they post on Instagram. You only know them because of the things that they've done. You don't actually know them. And it's very easy to think you know someone. You're like, no, actually, I know like so much about them. Again, I can name their birthday, where they were born, where they live, all of their IMDb. I can tell you everything. But that doesn't mean I know them. It means that I have an image of them in my mind, and then they do something, you're like, whoa, I didn't know you at all. Where it's not quite that way with Jesus, because we know all of his past. Not all, because like it says, I think it's at the end of John, that if someone undertook to write everything that Jesus did, there literally would not be enough room in the world to hold it all, like to contain the whole. And I think that is such a cool verse, because even if someone tried to write every single thing that I did, horrifying, that would take up a lot of paper, like from beginning to end of my life. If someone documented everything I did, that would be an enormous amount of paper, and an enormous waste of the environmental trees. Shirt will be coming out next week. But obviously it would not be a waste of anything to know every single thing that Jesus did, but that it couldn't be written, all of it. It couldn't. But we know so much of what he did. We know so much of who he was, that he was compassionate and kind and loving and stubborn and resilient and awesome and friendly and generous. Like, there are so many attributes I could tell you, and probably none of them are wrong. But do I really know him? Do I really love him? And it's been bothering me lately that I couldn't just say, yep, because honestly, I can't. I can't say I know him. I know so many things about him, and I don't know how to know and how to love him. And is it a matter of just reading my Bible and praying? Is that going to help me know the Jesus that is currently right now in heaven listening to me speak? I mean, he knows me. He loves me. He knows me completely. And I want to love him the same way. So how do I do that? I'm kind of posing the question to you. Both, do you know him? Do you love him? And how do you? How do you grow to love someone that you can't just call and talk to or hang out with in person? I mean, people that I genuinely love, I've spent a lot of time with them, and there are things I don't love about them, but overall, I love them. I would die for them. But what is it in us that makes us love someone and that makes it real and not just dependent on something that they did or something that they say? I don't know. This is a really strange video, because I'm not giving you an answer because I don't have one, and I don't know if I ever will. But it's questions like these that make me restless and unhappy with what I currently call my faith. That, I'm not happy to just sit there and say, yep, I love him, without honestly having a real and honest answer. And I want to have a real and honest answer, and I want to be able to say at some point, I know him. Like, I know him, and I love him, not just because of what he did back then, what he did for me, what he secured for me, or how he answered my prayer, or anything like that, but him, genuinely him. I feel like once you love him, I'm talking about both God and Jesus, as separate beings, as separate people, you have to love them separately. Because even though it's, known that they are the same, they are individual. Like, I love Jesus differently than I love God. I love Jesus because he died for me, because he followed his Father's plan. I love God for sending him, for putting that on Jesus' shoulders and allowing Jesus to die for me, and not just allowing it, but literally placing that on Jesus' shoulders. It was not a passive thing. It was, Jesus knelt down and accepted the weight of our sin that God put on him, essentially. Nothing about it was passive. And so I love them very differently, but also not to the extent that I should. And I feel like if I did love them the way that I should, the way that the disciples loved them and the way that Paul loved them, if I did, I would probably have so much greater faith in them. Because, bad things start happening and you start thinking, does God really love me? Does God really care? Is he listening? If you genuinely love them and it's not dependent on your circumstances, I feel like that is real love. And I don't know if any of us are there. But I am very curious what your answer is to these questions. I'm at a loss because I want to love them and I don't love them the way I should. And I want to, but I don't, but I want to. Endless cycle, you know how it is. Yeah, that's what I've been thinking about lately. So what have you been thinking about lately? It's just, general questions that people start thinking about around Christmas time or ever. Honestly, this has nothing to do with Christmas. It's just ironic that around the time of year where people start thinking about gifts and all this stuff, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, do I love God? Totally normal. But again, these are the kind of things that I'm thankful that God puts this on me and I can't get away from it, that it bothers me this much, because I really do. I want answers and I want to do better and be better than I currently am. So I don't know, this is such a random video and it's just, I don't know. I want to love them, not the facts about them, and not love them for what they do or what they've done. That's where I'm at. And I hope to one day be there. Right now I don't think I am, but yeah, maybe eventually. Probably when I get to heaven it'll be like, now I get it. Until then, I don't know. But yeah, now that I've probably confused you as much as I've confused myself, unless you have all the answers, at which point, comment below. But yeah, I'll see you next week, guys.